All right, welcome back to the Fandalorians, teachers by day, nerds by night, the podcast where education and fandom collide. In today's episode, we've got a jam-packed agenda, so buckle up. We're diving into the wild world of the Avengers Doomsday with some major casting news that has us all buzzing. Then it's off to the mystery, mayhem, and possibly legal madness of Coyote versus Acme. And finally, it's time for Mr. Richardson's adventures in PulOZski. Was his play an Oz-tastrophe, or was it awesome? Sorry for the puns. All this and more in a superheroes, super lawsuits, and super strange play episode of the Fandalorians. Teachers by day, nerds by night.
That is the bell. Classes in session. Welcome to the Fandalorians podcast. Teachers by day, nerds by night. We are the #1 pop culture podcast by public school teachers. Each and every week, we bring you the latest news, entertainment, news, review, news, and lively debates.
A lot of news, apparently.
A lot of news. Yeah, listen, we give you the news. All right. I want to make sure it's very clear.
We give you the news like 3 weeks later than you could have found it on the internet.
Proud members of Unfiltered Studios Podcasting Network. Lifelong friendships, banter, good-natured trash talk, and a lot of fun. You can email us at thefandaloriansmailbag@gmail.com, and you can text us at 631-494-3632. We got new listeners all the time. Let me introduce all of us. My name is Mr. I always butcher my name enough. It's really bad. My name is Mr. Richardson, 4th grade teacher, and the man who realized he isn't perfect. I'm going to go back to that a little bit later, guys, but you're going to find out how. And I know you guys think I'm perfect.
Mr. Richardson, I'm going to stop you right there. I found out you weren't perfect about 40 years ago.
You literally just messed up your own name.
So Mr. Richardson, the man who realized everyone else has already realized he isn't perfect because he's a human being.
I'm not happy with you changing my intro. My other co-teacher, New York City public school teacher, and the man who has been trained to fight other adults, Mr. McDonald. Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, no, it sounds like I'm training for like UFC or something like that. But
you can do that.
No, actually, it's my son has become a little league umpire. So if anyone starts a fight with my son, I have to be able to kill them.
Nice.
Oh, jeez.
Wow, I feel like that's a bit much. That's a lot.
All right, okay. Maybe I may be overreacting, but
make him tap out.
Being an umpire is a thankless job because you do your job, not a single person in the world notices. But you mess up once, and all of a sudden you are like the worst person in America. So, and if some dad or some mom like argues a ball or strike, it's gonna be a problem.
So how'd it go? Yeah, I know he did one already, right?
Yeah, he did 2 already.
No, any problems from the parents?
Well, it's funny. They tell him you don't just call balls and strikes on home plate like it's MLB. They tell you to do like white line to white line. So you have a big strike zone just to get the game moving.
Yes.
Because throwing a strike is hard.
Yeah.
But the first call he made on the outside corner, some little 3rd grader looked at him because he called it a strike. And the only thing I told him was like, dude, get used to it.
They're going to, going to question everything. But he got through it. So that was good, though. That's good.
And he made money.
There you go.
Oh,
actually, if the IRS is listening, he did not make money.
Yeah. My other co-teacher, Mr. G, for Mr. G's Book Corner.
Yes.
The official title for this. What are you reading?
Well, I just finished The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis, and I've read a couple of her books, and her books always take place. A lot of her stories take place in New York City, and this one's part of the Metropolitan from the Met. But the interesting thing about it was like a split timeline, but it was the same character. So it was like her from the 1930s and then her in the 1970s.
Oh, I like when that happens. That's
so it was interesting.
I like that.
It did have a cliche that annoyed me, but simply because it just was the same cliche that was in the last a book or two ago I read in the Winter Garden for my book club.
But was
But
that
I don't want
her
to share
book?
it because it's part of
Was
it's
that
part
her
of
book though?
No,
Oh, okay.
different author. But I don't want to share because it is a spoiler. But
It's a classic cliche that he
it's a-
kind of saw coming and telegraphed
no,
it.
I didn't see it coming. I kind of felt it would happen, and then it happened, and I was like, ugh, whatever.
So when you predict like when the story is going to go, does that make you happy or does that make you sad?
It depends on what the cliche is that I predict the right way. It was the person, not in this particular book, but tangentially adjacent. It wasn't the person who committed the crime, but it was just like how they tie this person in to. I can't even go in it without spoiling it. So it's a
Okay.
brand new book out. It's called The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis.
So you're telling listeners to read it and then text us about
Yes.
and then you and that random person can have a conversation about it.
Yes.
It is time to get down to business. A lot of stuff is going to be covered today. It's time for the morning announcements.
Mandalorian fans, won't you lend me an ear? I hope this podcast sound is crystal clear. Now listen up, people, I got something to say. These are the morning announcements for today.
Between state tests, field trips, and last-minute assemblies, it's amazing we don't all end up ordering gadgets from Acme just to get us through the week, which would be terrible, honestly, because that stuff doesn't always end well. Not a good brand.
It's like the teachers pay teachers
Yeah,
kind of version of Coyote gadgets.
exactly. Which brings us to a movie that's somehow even more wild, and we're kind of shocked has returned. The previously canceled Warner Brothers film now has a home, Coyote versus Acme. Little background in case you don't remember or know the story. New Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav came in gangster. He came in there, he was dropping everything. He was trying to find a way to cut money. He was firing a lot of people, emptying out departments, and decided to get rid of a few films because if you don't air the film, they were getting a $30 million tax break on some of them. We debated on this podcast if the films were just bad, that's why he did it, or simply to save money. We went back and forth. Some of the films that were written off were the Batgirl movie, which was already done, a Scooby-Doo Holiday Haunt, which was already done as well. Cape Crusader was sold to Amazon, but last week, this movie, Coyote versus Acme, was also locked away. But last week, Ketchup Entertainment, never heard of them, though, acquired the distribution rights of this movie. They paid $50 million to Warner Brothers, and now they're releasing it in 2026. Coyote versus Acme follows Wile E. Coyote, who sues Acme Corporation for selling him faulty products in his quest to catch the Roadrunner. It's a kind of Who Framed Roger Rabbit thing, a little mix of animation, a little mix of live action. William Forte plays the Coyote's lawyer. John Cena plays the lawyer for Acme. James Gunn was involved in developing the screenplay for this. Classic Looney Tune charm. And listen, a lot of people saw the test audience saw this, thought it was great. Surprised it was shelved. Is this a major gamble for Ketchup Entertainment? Will this pay off? McDonald, what do you think?
This is the best publicity for an animated movie ever. It doesn't matter whether this movie is good or not. I mean, if they released it and it just happened, this movie probably would make, I don't know, between $80 and $100 million, probably, like a mid-animated movie run. But now with all of this, I know they didn't do it on purpose, but this movie is going to do really well because everyone's like, I got to see what all this hullabaloo is all about. And I think this is a win for Warner Brothers because allegedly this $50 million sale, it's more than the $30 million loss they were going to take. Warner Brothers makes money off of this. Just the curiosity alone makes people want to see it, and you can't buy that kind of advertisement. So I think this is really going to be successful for Ketchup Entertainment. This movie, it may make over $100 million now. And, they're going to be able to say, it's a hit movie. And then this is where it's going to be a problem. Well, actually not a problem. But then even Warner Brothers can claim it as a hit movie even though they were going to kill it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a terrible look for Warner Brothers if this movie is successful because they lost out on all the money on this. They basically took the 30 million and then they sold it. So what is that? They're up 80 million, right? If this movie is a success, it's like, oh yeah, you got rid of a film that could have made you millions and millions of dollars because you thought it was a bad property and it turned out to be wrong. And honestly, I agree with you, McDonald. This is going to be a success because every writer, every actor, every producer, all these people came out furious that when he came in, he was getting rid of all these properties and things that they had already worked on, and now they don't get any money out of it. So you're going to see a galvanizing of we've never seen before of everyone saying, oh, no, go support this film. And the more it does and the better it is, the worse it looks for David here, who came in and got rid of this and other properties.
So this is a gamble. The recent, I believe this came out of the vault and it was sold simply because the day the Earth blew up, the Looney Tunes movie that had come out. It was a movie that I saw as a trailer and I was like, oh, this movie looks fun. It looks good. And it was just a movie that I just never got around going. I'm not always running out to the movie theaters. But it looked like a good movie and it has great reviews. I think it's like 87% Rotten Tomato. The problem is sitting right now at 9 million. Worldwide. Wow. So for $50 million, that's a loss. For a $50 million sale, that's a loss to this Ketchup Entertainment because 9 million worldwide, isn't 50 million. That's a lot of millions off.
But it doesn't have the controversy surrounding it like this movie does.
Wait, Ketchup Entertainment paid for the other one too?
No. They paid $50 million for this Coyote movie you just
So they need this movie to make at least $50 million.
Yeah, and the day the Earth blew up, the Looney Tunes movie, by all means, I've heard and I've seen like TikTok stuff and I've read some articles how it's a fantastic movie. Like it's a solid movie. Between animation, story, and all that stuff. It's a great movie. And right now it's only grossed under 9 million.
Yeah, but I think the different parallels with the fact that this has live action, this has Cena, this has Will Forte, this has I think this has a lot more, and James Gunn wrote this, part of the story with this. I don't know, I think this has a little more punch coming into it, free advertising, as we said before. But who knows? It's coming out in the wild. Again, it's not coming out to 2026. Who knows? Unlike the Coyote, we're not suing anyone, but we're hoping you can help. But we are hoping you'll help us out in a much simpler way. How can you support the show and keep the cartoon magic going? McDonald, tell us how to support the show because I don't like to read.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks for being lazy. I love it. Check out our merch on TeePublic. The link is in the bio. All proceeds go to Laney's Legacy of Hope. That's LaneyLegaciesOfHope.org, a nonprofit that helps families affected by pediatric cancer. They're volunteer run with no CEO, no board. So 100% of the donations go directly to the families. If you're on Long Island, you can visit Red Shirt Comics in Port Jefferson, New York for all your comic needs. The official comic shop of the Fandalorians. For those outside Long Island, support any and all local comic shops. While you're over there, you can also check out our newest sponsor, Willow and Harlow Candle Company. They make hand-poured, all-natural soy wax candles with unique scents. Stop by their Port Jefferson studio to make your own custom candles like the Fandalorian scent that I still say I'm going to make. And I don't know, I have to figure out a scent like lime and mint or something cool like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Don't know what that's
Check out their workshops. Mention the Fandalorians for a 10% off your very first purchase. You can also visit them at willowharlow.com.
Thank you, because I was being lazy, McDonald. All right, let me jump into a couple of things. As you guys know, some of you know, I like to write. I wrote a recent play called PulOZki. We did it at a local school here. We had a great time. I said in the intro, though, I made some mistakes. And some of my mistakes...
Wait. You have to explain why it's called PulOZki.
Got you. So it's a spin... Thank you for that. It's a spin on The Wizard of Oz. And the school's called PulOZki. And Mr. Hewitt, friend of the show, who's been on here a couple of times, instead of calling it PulOZki, let's call it PulOz and add the Oz in the middle, PulOZki, and that was the name of the show. Nice. I like it. I enjoy it. So we're doing the show. We're preparing for it, and we get to the casting. This is where I realize I'm not good at this. This is when I realize that when you watch movies, there's a lot of names that go by. Writing, directing, no problem. Casting, clearly an issue. So we're sitting down, we're getting ready to cast this show. We're looking at some of the people, and I have my list of people I think should play Dorothy, my list of who should play Glinda. I got it mapped out. I don't have the same names as everyone else. There's one girl named Olivia who plays Dorothy. Everyone has her down. She's not on my paper. And I'm thinking, did I miss something? Now I am directing their little mini scenes. It's like, okay, you guys go up there and you're upset about this act. And then, I was running that part of it. I didn't have her down. I didn't have Quinn down as Glinda. Like, I was just completely off base here. And then Mr. Hewitt, I was with Mr. Hewitt, Mrs. Bose, Miss McDonald, where they basically say, you sure you know these kids' names? Are you sure you don't have any idea? And then I think about this podcast where I completely never know anyone's name. I don't know names. I butcher it. Charlie's laughing because it's true. And I'm like, no. And you know me, I'm always right. So I'm like, no. I know their names. I know who they are. They're just not down here. You guys are seeing this wrong. So I was like, okay, next practice, you guys run the whole acting thing and I'll sit and just watch. First scene, they put Olivia, who was wonderful as Dorothy, up in front of the room with Quinn as Glinda. Do a quick scene. I'm looking at them going, yeah, no, those are the ones I want. No, those are the people. Oh, her name is what? Her name is Olivia? I thought it was something else. So I'm bad at casting. I can't cast anything. I don't know anyone's name. And I almost gave these parts to different kids and I have no clue who they are. Now I know who Olivia is, even though I did see her in public once and completely didn't know her. She's saying hi to me. I'm like, who are you, kid? And I've been working with this girl for about, 2 months at this point. And I'm like, oh, you're out of context. What are you doing here? But yeah, it was really bad. I saw her at Bryn had a game and went to see the Stony Brook's women's team play. And she was there, I think, with her father, and she's talking. Their dad's talking to me, and the dad motions to her. I'm like, wait, you're Dorothy. Again, this is like 3 months into the production. I didn't recognize her outside of PulOZski.
She's like, Mr. Richardson, I have an office right next to you.
You were talking to me.
My name is on the floor.
It was terrible. And then Quinn was amazing as Glinda with the lightsaber battles. All the kids, all the cast, everyone involved was incredible. Great show. Funny stuff. The audience was laughing a lot. I had a good time. My favorite laugh, though, was Scarecrow has no brain. So when they finally met Tin Man, he says, hi, let me introduce all of us. My name is Rachel, and this is Phoebe and Monica, to the other characters. So Tin Man waves. Now, a woman in the audience bust out laughing in the parent show. And then she could not stop laughing. I want to say for at least 45 seconds. Like, she couldn't catch her breath. Of what I thought was just a light Friends joke. And so the kids are on stage, and I warned them with the adult show, there's humor there, they might laugh. They're trying to wait for her to stop. You could see them smirking because she could not catch her breath. And the follow-up joke is he goes, let me try again. Like the Toto says, listen, those are friends from the TV. Those are characters from the show Friends. You made a mistake. You got to try one more time. And he proceeds to name the math of the principals in the building. It's like the follow-up joke. But she was still recovering from the Friends joke. It was a fun show. Had a great time. This cast was incredible. But I obviously cannot cast a show. I sting at that. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I don't think your casting talents are the ones. It's remembering students' names.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I honestly just think it's like a RAM issue because we're getting older, and you get brand new names every year, and we're just running out of space in our brains to remember names. I always joke, I get 170 students in 5 classes every year. And I always say, I'm like, next year, I will remember who you are when I see you in the hallway, but I will not remember your name. I have dedicated that memory to a new student name.
You gotta download. You gotta delete some files.
And I'll walk past and I'll be like, hey, what's up, Sport? What up, Tiger? Hey, what's up, Slugger?
I was calling them mostly by character names because I kept forgetting. Except for Olivia at that point, because I said it enough, and then Quinn, I know her pretty well too at this point. And I end up talking to Quinn's mom on the phone. We have a Doctor Who discussion for 15 minutes. So now I can't forget her either. Charlie, you good with names a year later?
No. Sometimes I'm not even good, like, in the moment. Definitely not in the moment. Even with my regular students, sometimes it takes me a second to get their name.
Charlie, what happened with you in the Encyclopedia Brown thing?
So last
time we
week?
talked about it.
Yeah, last time we talked about Encyclopedia Brown. So it's like, I'm totally not in this whole, like, we're living in a simulation, but we totally are. Since we've talked about Encyclopedia Brown, there's been 3 mysteries that have all been very Encyclopedia Brown that's gone on. One of them was the April Fool's mystery, which turned out I was the April Fool. I went out to my car on April Fool's Day. I couldn't find my keys. It was one of those days where I happened to have like a push-in for music, so I had to go somewhere else. I literally retraced all of my steps to go. I went to this room. I went to the faculty room, and then I gone to this person's room to have lunch. I went to the copy room. I went to all these places. Then I went back out to my car, and I like looked inside my lunchbox, or maybe blah, 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 blah. Then I got the custodian involved. I'm like, she already came and collected my garbage. So I was like, oh, maybe I knocked my garbage can. So now I got Angie helping me look for my keys. Randomly, the social worker walked by the room. She's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, looking for my keys. So she starts looking for my keys. She ended up finding my keys in the back of the classroom. And it took me forever to figure out, why were they in the back of the classroom? Maybe
Wait, Charlie, what you have to say is, I went to the back of the room and then I turned to page 47.
Exactly.
Well, how'd they end up there?
It turned out that I remembered why I put them in the bin, because I was changing pictures on the bulletin board and I couldn't get the staple out and I didn't want to rip the picture. So I tried to get my key under there, and I must have put my key down because it didn't work because it was too fat. So that was one mystery. Then we were reading a book, and it was like a what happened kind of story. The kid, they see a tree, they think it's a beaver. He hides behind a bush, but he lays down. He falls asleep. He wakes up. It's a talking beaver. Ends up helping the beaver build the beaver dam. And then his mom, at the end of the story, wakes him up and says, why are you all dirty? And he's like, what? Did I dream it? And he went over to the brook, and there was a beaver dam and all this stuff. And I was talking with the kids, and I was like, it was a dream. They're like, how do you know it was a dream? There's really a dam, and he's all dirty. And I was like, because his mom said, why are you so dirty? And look at page 7 or whatever page it was. And they're like, yeah, what's up? I'm like, he's in the stream helping them, so he would also be wet. And his mom didn't say, why are you soaking wet? She just said, why are you so dirty? So then the kids just assumed that he was dirty because he was sleeping on the ground. And I'm like, that's an Encyclopedia Brown.
Brown mystery. Yeah, it is.
And then the third time,
it's coming after us.
Charlie, I feel like you're just giving away gold right now. These are the first 3 episodes of our Netflix Encyclopedia Brown series.
Yeah, we got this. We're mapping it out.
The next day, I saw one of the teachers in the hallway, a first grade teacher, and she had this like look on her face. I was like, hey, what's up? She's like, I don't know. There was this kid who was like on my bus line, and then she appeared in the walker area because of the bus, and she was just confused. Once again, Angie, our custodian, was involved, and she was like, oh, I totally saw this girl come back to the classroom, and I said, hey, what are you doing here? And she's like, I had to get my jacket. And then she came out, and I walked her to the waiting area. So, but then the teacher said, but she had her jacket when we left the classroom. They were trying to figure out who this kid was, because the teacher was like, I don't think it's the kid you're talking about, because the kid you're talking about had a jacket on. I don't understand why she went back for her jacket. And then the custodian was describing the girl. She's like, she had a Hello Kitty backpack. And she's like, I remember seeing her, and her backpack was like really full. Like it was like comically like big on her,
right?
But whatever. Da, da, da. And I was like, oh, I know what happened. Encyclopedia Brown says her jacket was in her backpack. So she took it out, put it on, and then that's why you saw the girl with her backpack on, with her jacket on in the backpack. So there you go.
So it's 3 Encyclopedia Brown mysteries. After we mention Encyclopedia Brown, can we
in a
week? So maybe we are in the Matrix. Your custodian would then be Morpheus, honestly, at this point, because she's on everything.
Guys, this is great, because what you're going to do is now we have Encyclopedia Brown as a character, and actually another character is going to be the custodian. What was the name? Angie?
Her name is Angie.
Yeah, Angie. And she's like the man on the inside to help him get to like certain mysteries inside the school. Yeah. I mean,
this thing writes itself, guys.
Let's just print the money now. Let's go. Let's start spending.
You know what? That's what I'm writing on this summer. We're all involved. We're gonna make this work.
Yep. There you go.
All right.
Speaking of mysteries, let's talk about a mystery that had recently been revealed, Mr. Richardson. Let's talk about the Avengers Doomsday cast.
That's nice. That's good. I like that. I mean, I had one, but it's okay. Yours is better.
Yeah, but it didn't transition from Charlie's.
No,
it
no,
transitioned
no,
your
it's so good.
story.
No, I was just trolling her. I'm just.
Are we having a transition off?
Exactly. He's been served.
What? All right. Marvel Studios recently announced the cast of their highly anticipated movie, Avengers Doomsday. The movie is poised to be a pivotal chapter in the MCU, following Avengers Endgame and introducing new characters while bringing back some fan favorites. I'm going to skim through this as fast as I could.
You don't have to say them all.
Obviously,
Everybody
don't
knows
skim
who they
through it.
are by now.
No. I'm gonna say the names of the characters at least.
Oh, okay.
And mix it up a little bit. So
But don't skim it so fast that you stumble over everything.
No, but people need to know. People need to know this. People are sitting here excited to hear about the cast. We know Robert Downey Jr. is back. This time he's playing the villainous Doctor Doom. Chris Hemsworth is back as Thor. Brother Loki is in tow as well. Anthony Mackie as Anthony Mackie as Captain America. Bucky's back. Ant-Man, Black Panther, M'Baku, love him. Namor, all from the Black Panther franchise. Shang-Chi's pulling up. The entire cast of Thunderbolts was seen in this trailer. The chairs, basically, except for one, but we're not going to go into that yet. The Fantastic Four, the X-Men from the original movie. Patrick Stewart's returning as Professor X. Ian McKellen's returning as Magneto. Kelsey Grammer's back as Beast. We have Mystique. We have Cyclops. We have Nightcrawler. And Channing Tatum is going to be playing Gambit again. The film will be directed by Joe and Anthony Russo. They did Infinity War. They did Endgame, a few other films. All right. So with the cast of Avengers Doomsday announced, is this the crossover event that's going to recapture the magic of Endgame? Or is Marvel throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks?
I do have a small beef with this announcement. Announcing all of the characters who are returning from the Thunderbolts before the Thunderbolts comes out kind of pulls the legs away from the Thunderbolts movie. You know, all those the bigger characters are going to survive that movie. Even Ghost is returning. It's the only one that was notoriously missing was Taskmaster. So you're like, oh, I guess Taskmaster's going to die in this movie, and it kind of takes some steam away from the Thunderbolts as a movie. Now, is that going to stop me from seeing the Thunderbolts? Absolutely not. I do like seeing the original X-Men. I think that's going to be fun. Honestly, I kind of forgot that Shang-Chi was a thing. We haven't seen him since his movie. And the Fantastic Four, it tells me how confident they are in the Fantastic Four. They're going to go right from their movie to this movie. So, do I think this is going to be a miss? Absolutely not. And if there's one thing I know the Russo brothers have shown in Endgame and in Infinity War is they know how to balance lots of different characters. They're going to give you pairings that you wouldn't think you wanted to see. They're very good at putting characters who don't always go together and letting the comedy ensue. I think this is going to stick, but what do you guys think?
I think, though, I do think it's, I'll say I do think it's weird how you don't have a Captain Marvel appearing or Miss Marvel appearing. Some of these other characters that aren't necessarily, Captain Marvel is a top tier superhero, but not Miss Marvel. As long as we don't see Smart Hulk in here, I'm fine.
Well, if you remember, I think they're trying to make this movie like Infinity War, where it ends on the cliffhanger, and then making Secret Wars the second movie. So if you remember, Hawkeye wasn't in Infinity War, and who else wasn't in Infinity War that we were like, why aren't they in Infinity War? And they ended up being an Endgame. I forget who it was, but it was somebody.
Hawkeye.
Yeah,
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye and Ant-Man weren't in Infinity War.
Right.
We're like, oh, how come they're not in Endgame? And then they weren't in Infinity War and they were in Endgame. So I could see maybe some of that. Tom Holland not being in the movie is, I think, just a logistical issue because he's out filming the Chris Nolan movie, The Odyssey.
And I hope these are not just 1-minute cameos.
No,
I have a feeling the X-Men might be.
I don't know. I looked at this we learned in Deadpool that there's a character in every universe.
And Deadpool's not on this list.
Yeah, we learned. I think more people are coming later. 2, we learned in Deadpool that every universe has their own Nexus person. So maybe
Yes.
Doom's traveling to different universes to take out the Nexus person. So maybe there's a whole visiting the X-Men to deal with someone. It could be
So
that,
these
and
are
then
like
they
just
all
stop-offs in their
maybe
timeline
it's a guess.
universes.
But then maybe they all come together to defeat him because that's what happens in the original comic to an extent, not the way they're going to do it. I don't know how they're going to do it. The comic is so convoluted version of this. Hopefully they're jumping universes, and then maybe he kills someone in the X-Men universe, so they find a way to come to ours to team up to find this guy. Doom's traveling around. Who knows? I personally, because I have to obviously disagree with McDonald. The Thunderbolt thing didn't bother me too much because they also mentioned Fantastic Four, right? So we didn't say, hey, mention the Fantastic Four tips that movie as well, too.
Well,
And
they're not going to
they're-
kill off anyone in the Fantastic
But that's the
Four.
point. So we mention Fantastic Four, but we leave off the Thunderbolts. That makes them appear less than them.
Because they
Instead-
They
are.
are. Jinx.
Yeah, but we want. But okay, if you're in the studio though, you don't want people to think that. You want that. Hey, there is an important Fantastic Four.
Now,
So we're mentioning Fantastic
see-
Four. We have to mention them too.
now
So
then
people
if they
can
were
think they're
smart,
important, they'll go
just-
see their film.
you don't
can't.
announce one member of the Fantastic Four and you let speculation happen.
Oh, that could go bad either way. I don't know.
Man,
Plus,
no,
you know, Doom's in it. You know, Fantastic Four is in it. By
There's no
excluding
there's
the
no bad
Thunderbolts-
attention at this point.
By excluding the Thunderbolts, you're basically saying they're less than everyone else, and that's if you put the Fantastic Four in there, and you have to. It's just I don't know. I'd keep it. Doesn't matter. And I agree 100% what you say that you have characters together who've never met, and they just don't know each other, and that kind of stuff is always fun as well. And we
Yeah,
haven't met about on screen like 17 of these people yet. So
But
we don't even
hold on,
know.
this brings up two questions for me before we move on. So number one, if we're talking about anchor beings, who's going to be the anchor being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the proper one, 616?
Don't know. It's someone who's gonna die because that's
No,
gonna put everything in motion. So look at the list. Like it's got to
Yeah.
be someone who's gonna go. Who knows? Like we don't know if it's
Yeah,
an anchor being
because,
thing.
I mean, what you guys don't realize, at least I don't, no one's really been talking about it, is this movie is going to end like Infinity War with Doom, quote unquote, winning.
but it might
and
not.
that's-
They never said that. You don't
That's
know.
and then it's going to create Battle World, which is what Secret Wars were.
But they can't. I don't think they can do Battle World because that is a mess. Pulling cities from different universes and making a giant planet. It's too. There's an audience that didn't read all the comics, and too far out that way, you lose a lot of people. Like you got to make this friendly enough. So Battle World is just crazy.
I don't know. I just think it would be super fun, because you see,
It needs to end with all the universes sorted together. So maybe they all end up in our universe, not in New York again, dealing with them. But the Battle World thing is tough. But I mean, do you think Robert Downey Jr. appears in Fantastic Four?
you think he's the
Like
stinger?
cameo. Do you think he's in? I think
I
he
do.
has-
I think he is the second end credit scene.
But guess what? I'm probably gonna watch this stuff, and I'm hoping for Smashy Hulk to make Charlie happy.
Yes.
No, now I want Smart Hulk just to piss
no
Charlie off.
Smart Hulk.
All right, so we got another major superhero franchise on the horizon. Let's talk about another exciting release that's sure to make waves. There's a Legend of Zelda live action movie. This one snuck up on me, guys. It's coming out March 26, 2027, so it's not going to sneak up on us. It's really far away. Nintendo and Sony Pictures are tag teaming with this one. A screenplay written by Derek Connolly from Jurassic World fame. A storyline is kind of under wraps, but we're expecting Link and Princess Zelda and Ganon and that sort of thing. No budget, no cast. It's supposed. All we know so far is other than Nintendo and Sony Pictures working together, which could end up with a Zelda game on PlayStation. They're aiming for a grounded and real adaptation of the work. As far as video game franchises work, we know some of them misfire, like Assassin's Creed, Monster Hunter wasn't well received. Mario, Fallout, and The Last of Us were well received. And Minecraft, we might as well add it since it's happening this weekend, already has 140 million this weekend when it just came out.
And I think I'm going to go see it later this afternoon.
Yeah, it's about
All three of my kids want to see it.
Yeah, it's about 75% more than they predicted, which we could have predicted this. It's not for us, more or less, but Minecraft is the biggest thing in the world, and they're making crazy money with this. So where do you think Zelda will land in that spectrum? Successful, unsuccessful? Just random guesses. What do you guys think? Charlie?
I think it's going to be, I don't know. It's tough. I
It's
think
tough.
it's going to, what makes it tough is that Link has never talked. So who is
Right.
going to become the voice of Link? And that, I think, is going to be a thing, because he doesn't talk. He just makes those weird sounds. So he's going to
Well,
talk for the first
neither
time.
really does the Mandalorian, and people still love that.
That's different, though.
He talks.
I've never thought of him not having a voice.
There was that
Well-
cartoon show where he talked once. I didn't like that.
Well,
voice.
Boba Fett talked. He said something here and there, but it wasn't like a thing. So
No, he's got to carry the show. So
the
yeah, it's like
Mandalorian
casting is
was a
big.
new character. It's not like someone who's gone back since what, 82? 86 probably?
Yeah, but he's new to movie audiences.
Yeah, but he's not new to the universe unless you've been sleeping under a rock. You don't know who Link is. Link and Zelda are. So Zelda has always spoken. She's talked before, but Link has never spoken before. So I think it's going to be an interesting thing. I think it's going to be great. Movie. It's going to be a movie that I know I'm going to want to see. I believe my two sons are going to want to see it. I know other people that would probably go out and see this movie, just because of their love of the Legend of Zelda games.
I've never played fully a Legend of Zelda game. Ever, really. It was like one of those things I never, but I'm a fan of the series. I've seen people play it. I've enjoyed watching my kids play it a little bit. I've never actually sat down and played it, know too much about the story as well. Obviously, I'm going to be excited about it, though. As far as him not talking, I don't know. The casting's really important. I agree with that. Like,
You know
don't
what?
have any
I
idea.
stand corrected. There was that Zelda cartoon.
That's what I said. The Zelda cartoon. He
Yes,
talked.
he
It was-
did talk. I guess there's that. So,
but there's,
all right.
I mean, you got to make the character, and the character's never really spoken. Back in the 80s, the words would pop up, but even then, he didn't say as much. But again, look, I never played Fallout. I like the series, and I don't even know who talked in that until it happened. Last of Us, I never played the game. It went well. Like, I think if they get to do a good job casting, and if they ground it in realism, if they do it, I don't want to say like Lord of the Rings style, because that's a high bar to reach. But if they're trying to go for that zone of this magical world and really take it seriously, no tongue-in-cheek banter type stuff, I think it'll be successful. I think it can work because some of these darker series works. So I think this will be a success. It'll be on that spectrum with Fallout and Mario and video games that did well. McDonald.
I guess I'm sorry to jump in here.
No, go ahead.
Go for it.
I was going to say, Jimmy, just responding to what you were going to say,
Sure.
is that, you know what, I think the movie they make for whatever audience they choose is going to be the critical hit for this. Like, who's the audience that they're making the movie for?
Us or the kids, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Which will determine the feel of the movie.
Can you find a middle ground?
I don't. You know what?
Like
I'll
a
let you know when I
Stranger
see.
Things thing?
I'll let you know when I
Yeah,
see Minecraft.
I'm curious if they could find. Right. Okay.
Because that movie has been out Minecraft has been out for a long time. So kids who have been playing Minecraft are, young adults at this point.
Yes, my kids are old enough to go. You're right, because can they appeal to us? And it's hard to do that. I know, like wrestling has to struggle with appeal to little kids in the audience and then adults grew up watching wrestling. Curious about that. All right, McDonald, your take.
All right. While you guys were talking, I was doing a little bit of research.
He's like, while you were talking, I was ignoring everything you said.
Yes.
He's just gonna repeat our stuff. Guys,
No.
think about
So
Fallout. Think about
I
that.
was curious just to see if there was an explanation if Link is not able to talk at all, or he just doesn't talk. So I did find a actual answer. What do you think it is? Can he talk, or does he choose not to talk?
He chooses not to talk. He's
Yes.
stoned.
And it was in Breath of the Wild, in one of the options when you can read Zelda's diary. It talks about how she's writing about Link, and it says he feels necessary to stay strong and to silently bear any burden. And it goes on and on and on. So he can talk. It could be, I think it could be a super interesting storytelling technique to have a protagonist where he just doesn't talk. I mean, it's happened before. There's been a couple of movies where they do this, and it's just he doesn't have to talk. He communicates by nods or whatever.
I mean,
or
that's
you can
Snake
make
Eyes. I don't know if we can pull a Snake Eyes with Link.
yeah, or
But even the
make it,
Snake Eyes movie, they made him talk, and it was just
yeah,
like,
and that kind of killed the snake. Yeah,
yeah.
it could be one of those things where him being silent is kind of people will fill in what they want him to say storytelling wise and be like, what do you think? You agree with me, right? And then even before he gets like, or maybe it'll be like Silent Bob, so to speak. Every time he tries to talk, someone fills it in. I mean, I'm just saying it could be a very interesting story to do that way. I think I'm with you, Charlie. I don't want him to talk.
Oh, I don't know if I don't want him to talk. I'm just curious to know who's going to be the face of Link.
I could personally think he needs to talk. You're telling this story. A lot of people don't even know this story. You take the main character who's trying to save Zelda the whole time. Was he have a sidekick who's speaking? I don't know. I would like to see him talk and get to know the character if we're gonna make a franchise out of it. But
or you do like omnipotent third person narrative, like where you have someone that just does the voiceover for what he's thinking. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be a regular movie with talking.
Yeah, I know. It could be we're just arguing about this, and then we see the first trailer, and then that gives us the vibe, and we're like, "Oh, I get it. This is going to be good." Or I don't think this is going to be good.
I just want him to be a good fighter and a warrior going into the film, and this isn't the journey of him becoming a warrior at the same time of trying to save her.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I think it's going to be an origin story because where's the money after that?
Yeah. Well, I have one question for you guys. So this is Sony and Nintendo, right? So how much money do you think they're putting together to make an offer for Tom Holland?
Is he going to be? Yeah, he'd be a good Link. He's got the look.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, right now they're like, all right, we got to come big if they want Tom Holland. And if that's the case, you really want to make money, you make Zelda Zendaya.
No, you cannot do that.
Why?
Come on, it'll be the Legend of Zendaya.
That backlash on that'll be terrible.
So you got to cast a little blonde white girl to be Zelda?
No.
I wasn't Mr. Richardson.
I wasn't going race. The fact that they're married, I think, is a problem. That I wasn't going race. I was going the fact that they're known of being together as a couple. You just get away from that. Like just do because you're making that now instead of the movie. It's about them together as Zelda. Don't do that. I wouldn't do that. I'd go a different route with that. That's all. I'm
just saying, but if you put those two in there, those are two giant Hollywood names that would help sell that movie
to a specific generation, maybe.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of people who are against those types of castings would back. I just wouldn't want to listen. You're tough with this first film. You don't want any backlash at this point if you want this to get off the floor.
Listen, it's going to be 2027. There's going to be backlash from people everywhere.
Not like this. Not like what we're describing. That would be bad.
Let's just make it to 2027. That's really all we need.
I don't know if we can do that either. Yeah. But either way, Tom Hanks is a good casting. Who knows? Maybe an unknown, so you don't have to pay him as much.
Yeah, but
you know what? Robert Downey Jr. That's
the more you pay, that's like free advertising.
Yeah,
maybe.
Wait, did you just say Robert Downey Jr. as Link?
Yeah, I did. I think it's the best one.
That's amazing.
We need to put him in everything.
Who would be the worst casting? Ready? And as Link, actually, this might work. You make The Rock be Link because then he doesn't have to talk or act.
He's not the right build.
No, we do it.
He's never been a big guy.
Hashtag not my Link.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. It's already starting. See, we gave you the good way, the bad way. You can start the drama. That's what we do out here on the podcast.
So, listeners, if you have ideas of who should be Link, you should reach out to us.
Yes, and it's Robert Downey Jr. That's the answer to everything.
Or it's Jack Black. Who knows?
Ooh, you got to tell us how that movie goes. I can't wait.
Yeah.
The school buses are rolling up, guys. Time to get out of here. This is a quick one. We got it in. Pack it up, headed home. If you enjoyed today's lesson in pop culture nonsense, follow us. Instagram at fandalorians.podcast, Twitter at fandalorianspod, TikTok at the Fandalorians Podcast, emails at the fandaloriansmailbag@gmail.com, text us at 631-494-3632. For Mr. G and Mr. McDonald, I'm Mr. Richardson. Thank you for listening. Catch you next time on the Fandalorians. Teachers by day, nerds by night. Doo-doo.
Did you just pull a Wayne's World?
Yeah, I did. I didn't want to get that, but you. So it made me happy. Bell, no. Is this it? What am I doing? It's hard to see because the camera's here too. All right, here we go. This is it.
No, it's because you're old.
Shut up. Definitely don't know kids' names. I'm old enough, no names. Falling apart out here.